Welcome to the deep dive. We're jumping straight into a stack of material on something that really questions the whole foundation of modern AI.
It does. We're looking at the Odam Tili, or human language theory, from Dr. Mamoudzin Kuchkarov.
And the mission here is to figure out why this theory claims that the incredible success we're seeing with LLMs is built on a massive structural error.
Right, and that error is what OT calls the epistemological crisis. For a while now, the main assumption has been that real understanding is an emergent property.
Meaning if you make a model big enough, it'll just figure things out.
Exactly, that if you throw enough data at it, the meaning of something like justice will just, spontaneously appear from the statistics.
But hold on, if these models can simulate understanding so perfectly, why does it matter if the foundation is flawed? I mean, isn't a good simulation good enough?
Well, the OT theory would say absolutely not. Because meaning isn't emergent, it's encoded. So this total reliance on correlation creates systems that are brilliant mimics.
But they're faking it.
They're structurally indifferent to what the words actually mean to us.
Okay, let's unpack that encoding process. This seems to push back hard on the last century of linguistics, the idea that the link between a sound and a word is arbitrary.
It completely flips that on its head. Dr. Kuchkarov is really clear on this. He says, sounds preceded roots. The root is a derivative, not a source.
Whoa! So the meaning isn't in the word itself, but lower down, in the sound.
Way lower down. The basic unit is what the theory calls a phonosemantic element. It's the most basic, measurable bit of language.
And these are things like a gasp or a sob.
Exactly. Intense physiological reactions, or even sounds from our environment that get coded into our language.
This is where it gets tangible for me. So you take a sound like the sibilant S.
Right. Think of a snake's hiss.
A warning signal.
A warning, exactly. That's not a random label we agreed on. It's a direct biophysical link to the concept of a threat.
And what about another example, like the sound P?
Well, think about how you make that sound. You stop the air, then release it. It's a hard stop and start.
So that physical action itself codes for ideas like partition or duality or a sudden start or end. It's baked into the mechanics of our own bodies.
Precisely. And an LLM, which only sees the token P on a screen, misses that entire physical grounding. It has no access to the source code of the meaning.
So current AI is trapped in what OT calls a theater of syntax.
A perfect description. It's incredible statistical pattern matching, but it's brittle because it lacks that physical anchor.
And that brittleness, that's where the alignment problem comes in, right? When people like Jeffrey Hinton talk about existential risk, the focus is often on control. How do we bolt on constraints?
But OT argues that external control is an illusion. The real danger isn't malice, it's structural indifference. An AI that doesn't have our body can't, inherit our values.
So that just torpedoes frameworks like Fei-Fei Li's human-centered AI. How can you teach an AI about dignity?
When dignity is just another statistical token to it, it's computationally meaningless without that grounding. You can't just assign moral weight to a system that is indifferent to how that morality was physically formed in the first place.
So what's the path forward?
It's an architectural fix. The theory proposes a phonosemantic grounding stream, or PGS. Think of it as a foundational cognitive layer.
One that constantly checks the model's statistical guesses against these biologically coded meanings.
It validates them against the sensor-motor experience of being human.
So the big takeaway here seems to be that the future isn't just about more scale, it's about biophysical grounding. Odam Tili isn't just a philosophy, it's an architectural spec.
We have to stop asking how big and start asking how grounded. Because if OT is correct, genuine understanding requires access to motor control, to physiology, to the very things that create the code.
Which leaves a pretty important question for you to think about. If true consciousness requires access to our fundamental physical constraints, must a future AGI possess a body, virtual or real to, ever achieve genuine human understanding?